our work and productivity series. Last week was personal growth and development series. And today we are beginning with procrastination, beating procrastination. Who doesn't want to do what they need to do? We all want to check off our boxes. We all want to do what we want to do. I mean, it's exciting to get things done. But the thing is, when the list keeps growing, it feels like there's a lot to do, and then we start putting off some task. And with putting off tasks, we get to label some as important, less important, just with that habit of repetition, repeating, dropping of tasks. Our brain relaxes and tend to just totally skip everything. So it's not really about what is important now, it's about just skipping. It's a habit that will formed over time. But I know that today, after this session, we'll be able to identify areas that we've been procrastinating, and work on areas that we need to improve. We need to work on improving on those areas and fight procrastination, because procrastination is a thief. So what is this procrastination? So it's not being lazy. When you see someone say I procrastinate, or I'm struggling with procrastination, not necessarily that the person is lazy. So no. So procrastination is not laziness. It's just your brain choosing short-term comfort over long-term progress. So you want the immediate comfort. That's why you're doing something that you wouldn't put in much effort into, over something that you need to work hard to achieve. So that's procrastination, choosing short-term comfort over long-term gain. And of course, the scary part is that the moment you delay, it gets harder to get started. So let's say this week you plan to write um let's say 5 pages of your book, but then Monday you feel like, let me prepare. Tuesday you put it off. Wednesday, that is procrastination. Doesn't make you irresponsible or lazy. It just means that you like putting off tasks. So if you ever put off any task, could do it later when you know you could do it immediately, that's procrastination. So there are 5 or 4 signs that will help you identify whether you are procrastinating or not. So procrastination is not being busy, in quote. So you can be busy and still procrastinate. It means you're not being productive. You are busy doing something else instead of what you intend to do. So that's what is called the fake productivity trap. So you start cleaning your decks for 2 hours instead of writing the report. You start rearranging your decks so that you have the perfect clean environment before you start writing your task. So when you actually start doing that, you are procrastinating. When you are doing things around the task instead of the actual task, that is procrastination. The second sign that you're procrastinating is the last minute panic. You know how you have 1 week to deliver something, or maybe a report, and then you wait till 5 minutes to submission or to deadline before you start doing that task. That's actually a sign of procrastination. I mean, you had enough time to plan and prepare, but you just want to do it last minute and you start panicking. And of course, when you are working last minute, you're not going to put in your best efforts. And the third sign you're procrastinating is you're waiting for the perfect moment, perfect time, which never comes, by the way. So when you start to feel motivated, I mean, your ideas are together, but you feel like this is not the right time. Let me just wait a little bit to let me make my work better. Let me just put in more work. Let me make it cleaner. Let me make it more perfect. So when you have that attitude, that is actually definitely a sign of procrastination. The next one is when you have the blame game. It's not my fault. Every other person is at fault except you. So you don't take responsibility for the things you don't get to do, right? So you're expected to do something, submit a report, but you don't actually do them, and you end up blaming other people for what you did not do. That's actually a sign of procrastination. So it's very important to know why we procrastinate, right? Why just don't do it? So the first is fear of failure. You know how we like think this is not the perfect time. I'm not well prepared because I don't want to give in less of myself. I want to give in my best. That's why we just push it ahead, thinking that we need more time to prepare. Whereas I'm not sure that the time we actually give, we use it to prepare. It's just the time wasted, time gone. So that's why people procrastinate. We feel like we need enough time to prepare and to plan what we need to do, which in real sense or in real time, we don't get up planning to do that. And the second reason we procrastinate is because we are overwhelmed. When you have a lot of things to do and you don't know where to start from, at the end of the day, you just drop the things and do the things that you find you derive pleasure from. Maybe watching a movie instead of actually doing a report that is very urgent. And the next is instant gratification. So you want to do it last minute. I work under pressure kind of people. So you prefer easy, easy task. You want the easy one, responding to your friends' chats, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, over doing the actual work that will, of course, that will require you to work hard. So when you do things like that, it shows that you're procrastinating. And the next reason why we procrastinate is when there is no clear plan. No plan, no result. So it's very easy to give excuses when you don't have plans for what you need to do. So it's just easy to procrastinate. So these are the common reasons we procrastinate. And remember, I said procrastination is not being lazy. Nobody said you're lazy, that you're procrastinating. It's just that your brain they like the easy task and we just fall for it. But I know by the end of this session we'll be able to beat procrastination, because the goal is to achieve our goal for 2025. We are still going to achieve our goals for 2025. So steps to beating procrastination. So the first is the 2 minutes rule. If it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. So most people feel like, okay, let me do the easier tasks now. So this 2 minutes rule doesn't apply all the time. There are 2 minutes tasks that you don't need to do urgently that might eat into your 20 minutes task. But the point here is, do start with the easier task. For some people that you have a long list and you feel overwhelmed, you can do these little ones first. So you will see progress. You'll be seeing yourself do the things you are supposed to do, which will help you achieve the difficult or the more demanding tasks that you need to do. But you should be careful not to focus on 2 minutes tasks every other time. Else, your brain will still relax and want to do the easier task rather. So when you keep repeating easier tasks instead of just using it as a way of putting yourself into the big tasks, you are still procrastinating. So that's one step. Baby step is the one that you have to do now that takes less time. Do it within that time and stop. Not replying the very important mail in 2 minutes and going to read your social media comments. No. The number two is eat the frog. So tackle the worst tasks first thing in the morning. After that, everything feels easier. Though this particular number two is something that we all run away from, because we feel like we should start with the easiest task and end with the hard task. But this is a very important method. If you tackle the most difficult task of the day in the morning, you will see that you will be able to achieve the smaller tasks because you've done the most difficult part. But for me, I usually start with the easier part and end with the difficult part, or I do half the difficult part and continue with the simpler task and break into the difficult task. So what works for you? But I feel if you are really, really struggling with procrastination, you should start with the most difficult task. That will take more time, so that you focus all of your energy and time into the most important thing that you have to do. So that at the end of the day, if you end up doing only that part, you know that okay, you have achieved your major plan for the day. So the next is break it down. Whatever you want to do, you can break it down into writing simple paragraphs, like planning for this program. It started with just a thought, and then I've designed over 30 graphics. I've had to write, I can't remember, I don't know the pages I've written. But because for yesterday that we didn't have a class, I had to design the flyers for this whole week. So you see, because I broke down what I have to do, I was able to know that, okay, Monday was a good time to design for the whole week. I know that this whole week I've handled the designs. All I have to do is now come up with the content for the class. So break it down so that you don't feel overwhelmed. Number 4 is set public deadlines. There are some people that require public accountability partner. So people that will remind you, come, have you done this thing you're supposed to do today? So most people, they write down their schedule and they share with their family or friends. They hold me accountable. There are times my sister reaches out on our group, family group. I need to do this at so time. Please call me, wake me up. Everybody call me, oh, because I want to sleep. So that will also help you not to procrastinate. Instead of just enjoying that sleep and forgetting that you have to do something, tell people that this is what I'm supposed to do at this time. They are going to call you to remind you, and then you do what you have to do. The next is also, of course, forgive yourself. I know that we have a long way journey ahead, but you have to learn to forgive yourself. Don't take it too personal that you now feel bad that, oh, I didn't do what I was supposed to do today, and you lose yourself in the process. No, the goal is to get better, not to beat up ourselves. So this is a self-evaluation test that will help us know if we're actually procrastinating. So the first question is, when I have a big task, do I usually dive into it immediately, wait until I'm under pressure, or do it in bits here and there? That's a question that we have to answer maybe when we have the material, so that it's clear for us to know where we are. The second question is, my workspace is typically A, organized, B, chaotic, C, clean at first. Of course, when you have a messy place, you're not going to be able to work. So you know the answer. So number 3, I delay tasks because A, I hate it that I don't finish it. B, they feel too big. C, I get distracted by easier tasks. I don't know where I fall here. So you have to also answer that. Number 4, when I miss a deadline, A, I adjust and move on. B, I panic, I walk all through the night. C, I promise to do better next time, but well, I don't. You know the answer. Number 5, my biggest procrastination trigger is nothing. I'm disciplined. B, fear of failing. C, social media, movie. So you know your biggest fear. So if your answer is mostly A's, you're a productivity ninja, you should teach others. But if it's mostly B, well, you have a lot to do. But if it's C, you definitely have to put in the work. So this is also to help us identify the areas we are struggling with, because some people are not just general procrastinators. They have areas they procrastinate and they have areas they actually put in all of the work. So we have the category A, the dreamer. So they are stuck in planning mode. You plan and plan, you have all of the A to Z templates, but you never accomplish. That is actually procrastination. So if you're in that dreaming mode, you now know from the step that will actually work for you. So if you're in that planning mode, you should tell yourself that it doesn't have to be perfect. First step counts. Once you're able to take that next step, that's the step you actually need to beat procrastination. Like this community meeting, it was just a thought, random thought. Let's just have a community meeting, and immediately I dropped it on the group. We'll get to that rule later. So anything that comes to my mind, I usually write it down, and I make sure I share it where I know that I can't just let it go, right? So the second category is the distraction addict. I will just, go to Facebook for 5 minutes, which you don't come back from. You don't just scroll for 5 minutes and come back. So usually, because I work for a very long time, I have very short period of time to actually go through social media. So most of the time, instead of going through my messages, because I have messages coming in, I'm not able to respond, to reply to them, because maybe I'm working. So maybe I have 1 hour to bed. I'm like, okay, that time that I'm supposed to use to respond to those messages, I just say, let me go to Facebook to see what is happening. And I scroll, and before I know, it's 30 minutes. So what I did, I just set a reminder, 5 minutes, you are done with Facebook. So it's very important that if you know your problem is distraction, you set timelines for yourself so that you overuse your social media. When you go to your Facebook analysis and you see how many hours you spend on Facebook, you'll be angry at the time you spend doing nothing, because you're just scrolling, because it's a habit, right? The next category is the crisis handler. You like last minute pressure. Yes, I used to be last minute person. I like doing some. I like doing my things last minute, but I overcame the crisis mode. So you have to learn to manage your crisis. Don't work under pressure. Don't always work last minute. If you are in this category, that is actually procrastination. So you have to work hard to get yourself out of this mode. So if you're a crisis person, what would you do? You give yourself fake dates. So what I do is, if I have 2 weeks deadline, I'm going to tell myself I have 1 week deadline. I will keep reminding myself that I have 1 week deadline, and my brain will take that 1 week deadline. Meanwhile, in actual fact, I have 2 weeks deadline. So that was what helped me get out of that particular mode. And then finally, the perfectionist. You want a flawless start. Please, there's no flawless start. There's no perfect plan until you actually start. When we started day one, it wasn't perfect. I didn't have the plans to actually upload slides for us to have access to them. But after day one, I can tell you that the graphics from day one is actually different from the graphics. This is day 6 now, because there is no perfect plan. All you need is just start. Just start that course. Maybe start writing your CV. Just start, because perfectionism is a disease. There's nothing that is perfect, because the more you write or the more you go, you find out that there is more out there. So now that we have identified different areas that we actually procrastinate, I know that with this, you'll be able to identify the specific areas that you need to work on. But there's this 5-second rule that is very helpful. So it's by Mel Robbins. Is a hack that helps you move before your brain talks you out of it. So there are times you have amazing ideas, and before you start thinking about it, do it. If maybe it's a topic or a paragraph or a line, before your brain makes sense of it, write it. So that's why when I'm doing dishes and there's a thought, I quickly go to write. In fact, most of the time I post on social media, the thoughts that comes is when I'm doing something else. So I quickly take my phone and I type it out, because the moment you start thinking about it, you will start refining it. You want it to look good. You're not going to come out raw. So you have to learn to utilize and maximize your raw information, your raw creative ability. In fact, this evening something came to my mind, and I quickly wrote it before I lose it. So there are things that come to you just almost immediately, and if you don't write it down within 5 seconds, you lose it. So you have to be ready before your brain even starts thinking about it. So that's the 5 second rule. And so the cost of procrastination, to tell you what procrastination does. So it's not free. If you think that procrastination is free, you pay dearly for procrastination. So there are opportunities you will meet because you are not ready, because the time that you had, you just used it to do the things that are not necessary. So let's say you are planning to travel abroad and you have exams to write, but then I can do movies 3 hours every day. But that 3 hours, if you invested into studying for your exam or watching videos or just making inquiries, you would have gained knowledge. So procrastination is a thief of your time and your opportunity. So the difference between those who are achieving their goals and those who are not achieving their goal is how they maximize their time. So for those that do not procrastinate, they know what to do part time. They know when to go to social media. They know when to focus on their studies, because the truth is you will always sacrifice, and it comes in form of hard work. You must be ready to put in the work so that you are prepared for every opportunity. So every time you miss not doing what you have to do is a time you've lost to opportunity, is a time you've lost to procrastination. And then your health, because when you are doing last minute work, you're not putting in your best. You are just stressing yourself. You are not sleeping because you want to meet up with the deadline. And when you are doing that, of course, you know that you are just stressing yourself and your mental health. Then self-trust. Every day you delay, every day you delay your step, or you just hold back what you're supposed to do, is a day lost to self-esteem. You lose your confidence in yourself. You keep delaying what you're supposed to do because you now feel like, am I good enough? If you plan to do something today and actually do it, you have higher self-trust. But the more you delay, the higher you will lose trust in your abilities. So you should know that. Then the progress paradox. I want us to know that there is no perfect win. There is no perfect win. I always say this, that life is what we make out of it. There's no perfect life or perfect win. The difference between anybody and everybody is how we walk into our progress. So for me, this committee meeting is a lot because I know that I'm putting in all of my time, all of my energy, my resources. So it's a big win for me. For someone else, they would do something this amazing and feel like they did nonsense. So they're not able to share it. They feel like they are not doing anything with their lives. That's because we are waiting for a perfect win. There are no perfect win except the one we create. So we have to take everything, every effort we put into ensuring that we're achieving our goal. We have to take it very seriously. We have to learn to celebrate the little wins, the little steps. Because if we focus on big win, you will not get the big win. You will think that when you graduate, that will be the perfect moment, but that's not it. If you think that when I finally get married, that's a perfect win. Sorry, it's not going to be a perfect win if you don't literally walk yourself into that perfect win by accumulating your little steps. So it's very important that you mark every step that you take to achieving your goal. Then work hard for 5 minutes. Win. You read for 1 minute is a big win. You attended this webinar. I know that Gift and Queen, you've been attending this webinar almost in the first day. It should be a big win. So what it means is that perfectionism is just a myth. It is what we celebrate that people actually see. So you should learn to celebrate our tiny wins, because that will make the difference. So it's also very important that you have your energy level up. You put up your playlist, who runs the world, girls, whatever thing you want to use to motivate yourself, have your playlist, just lined up, knowing that no turning back. I've started this thing, no, I'm not turning back. I have to finish it. So you have to learn to build your energy. That's why we talked about self motivation in one of our classes. External motivation will not carry you. You have to learn to hype yourself. You have to learn to be the best version of yourself without external motivation. So this class is learn and grow, because it's not learn and push. We are not having all of these sessions to motivate us externally and just leave us there. No, we want to learn from everything by applying what you've learned, because when you hear, you practice, you learn, and you grow. That's the difference. Like, is a very visible progress stream. So we are not just where you are. My design in January is not my design now. So that's what progress means. That's what growing means. Don't just motivate yourself and leave yourself there. You have to actually monitor your progress. And finally, procrastination is not a time problem. Thank God it's very clear. Nobody has more time. Dangote do not have 48 hours. We all have time. We have equal 24 hours. So it's a mindset problem. So you don't need more hours. You need better habits. You need to start small. You need to forgive yourself. And remember that done is better than perfect. Done is definitely better than perfect. I think my day is almost 20%, 20 hours occupied, but I squeezed in 30 minutes to make sure that this works. So done is better than perfect. I'm going to look back and say, yes, I did this, and I took an extra hour to prepare for this class. So done is better than perfect. You should know that done is better than perfect. You don't need other people to applaud you. You need to you need to be able to tell yourself that I did this and I did amazing. If you don't get to that point, you will not grow, right? So the report, the workout, the dream, your class, what you need to do, that one step is perfect. It's just perfect. Not actually the finishing line that makes it perfect. Is your work in progress put together that comes together to make a perfect plan. So your turn now is pick one task that you've been avoiding. Set a timer for 10 minutes. You should start, and you'll be shocked at how far you can go. I remember when I started doing a particular project, and 9 minutes start took me 30 minutes. So I started timing myself. Okay, I'm going to do it for 20 minutes. I'm going to do it for 10 minutes. And now I'm at the point where I'm doing 9 minutes for 7 minutes. So that's not the case. The case is not to reduce your time, but the case is to do more, to do the right things at the right time. So time, okay, I'm not talking about time because we get to that point. So the point of the beating procrastination is doing what you want to do at the best possible time, and then not celebrating the big finish, but now taking the little steps towards achieving the big goal. So that's it basically. So I hope this was really helpful, because the goal is to look back and say 2025 was a year that I changed my strategy. That's the goal. Because when I wrote planning strategically for 2025, it was an action-based book, and I wanted it to be evident in the life of everyone who actually puts in the work, because I want people to see the difference. I want people to know that hard work actually pays, and we need to put in the effort to actually make the difference in our lives. Nobody will do it for us. So we have to take responsibility enough to put in the work, because it is our lives versus it is me versus me, right? So I hope that this helps us beat procrastination and we go back to actually doing what we need to do, because hard work is not punishment. That is the mindset we need to shift. It's not a time shift, it's a mindset shift, knowing that hard work is necessary and it's temporal. If you're studying for an exam, you don't need to study forever, right? It's just for a time frame. So have that mindset shift and you'll be at the top of your game. Thank you, everyone.